we're going to talk about. So, if you remember when I mentioned earlier how we need to get my girl Onija on
Mm-hmm.
Pop the Balloon,
Yes.
I don't think we ever talked about it, about how like the series basically went from its YouTube series and Netflix ended up purchasing it, and now it's a part of the Netflix whole.
Familia.
Yeah, right. The Netflix family. So on Thursday, which was yesterday, April 10th, Netflix premiered a live version of the viral YouTube speed dating show Pop the Balloon, where singles pop balloons and reject potential matches. The show featured live men, no, five men, sorry. Featured the show featured five men trying to match with eight women, but unfortunately, no love connections were made, despite efforts to adapt to the original YouTube format. With the executives of, like, the executives are the two people who created the actual show and actual host on the YouTube version. And if I butcher your name, I apologize. Her name is Arletty, and her man's name is BM. So Netflix added a reality TV elements to live interviews and a love lounge, which didn't quite land. So the cast included familiar reality TV faces like Johnny Bananas, Chase Damore, and even their presence didn't seem to catch the attention of the viewers like it should. So I'm going to show you guys some of the reactions that we saw from people. Well, I saw yesterday when this was happening from people on X, and people just did not like the show. So some of the comments that we were seeing, so somebody said Netflix gentrified Pop the Balloon. Another post had said, this is giving Black people can't have, you know. And they were like, another person said, way too much talking over each other, and then the host is not Steve Harvey. Stop forcing jokes and just host. They said Arletty had a solid organized regimen, that this version is lacking, less reality TV personalities. They are not serious. And they're like, I just want this to work, right? So this was another one that I saw. They're like, everyone responsible for tonight's episode, from the casting couch to the writer's room, needs to binge watch the original content, take some serious notes, and make some much needed adjustments. Sometimes a good thing doesn't need to be tampered with, right? And so basically, everybody was kind of having the same consensus when it comes to like the fact that they didn't like it. So obviously, I could have just went based off of this. I am not the intended audience for this, because even when it was on YouTube, I didn't watch it. I saw clips and I understood, I had a good idea of it, but I've never watched a full episode. So to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, I did go watch the Netflix Pop the Balloon. And
Did you share the same opinion?
I feel like it was awkward at times. It felt like everyone was trying, like, I'm talking about like in terms of the females that they had. I feel like the females that they had were trying to portray as characters that you would have saw on the actual YouTube version.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like regardless of how you feel or whatever you think, I feel like even the people who went onto the YouTube version of Pop the Balloon, those people were authentically them. They, even if they were there for clout, they were authentically them. The things that came out their mouths, anything that they said, from the rude comments to the crazy comments, like, that was who they were. I feel like in the Netflix version, the first off, the women felt like actors, one, and two, I felt like they were trying to portray the characters that you would have saw in the YouTube version. It didn't give authentic. It gave like, okay. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't get it. It was, yeah, even the guys they brought on, I was just like, okay. It's just, it didn't land the way it needed to land, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think several things. I'm gonna start by saying that I haven't watched this. I'm like Rebecca. I've seen clips, but I think that's why intellectual property in this space is so important, because people might think that you could just replicate something like an idea, but you just can't. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that the original creators of this are the executive producers that are on the show, but I feel like once you sell stuff to as big of a corporation as Netflix, titles just become titles sometimes. When you are dealing with these big businesses,
Mm.
they have a lot of say into what they want. And yes, you might be the executive producer, but there are still way more higher ups that still overpower your decisions, what you wanted to say, or
Right.
like what your decisions. Like you may say, oh, well, I want this, or I think we need to come here to cast. But Netflix already hired their people to be a part of, I think, like you mentioned, the girls that were there on the to find love or whatever. That's all depending on casting, right? So if you don't have people that are actually, you know, down in the streets, or like where you can get these like real authentic people that are gonna be true to themselves, and instead you have people that are going to like the bougie places to cast or look for people, you're not gonna get the authenticity that you got in the YouTube
Mm.
version of it. And it's like it's so sad, right? Because again, when I remember when I first saw the news that they were moving on to Netflix, although I haven't watched it, anytime I see minorities get an opportunity, I'm like, because I know it's hard, right? So I don't want to say don't watch, don't support, because at the end of the day, if this fails, it's going to be a representation and it's going to shut down the doors for other, minorities that want to get into the Netflix world, because that's just how the business is. It's very, very, very cutthroat,
Mm.
and not many people get an opportunity. And I think it's also like not the fault of the executive producers, because I'm sure they're saying, well, I want this, or let's come here, let's cast here, let's come here. But there's someone else that's in a higher position that has way more money and saying, like, no, I actually want this. They might say, yeah, I love your idea and we want to buy it. But then as soon as they try to, again, whitewash it, gentrify it, then you're missing the point. Like, the audience that love this on YouTube, let's cater to them, because those are the people that gave the views. Like
That was
now
your
you're bringing it
initial
on,
audience.
yeah, now you're bringing it to a different audience, and now you want to push it to or conform it to
Be
make
somebody's
other
company.
people happy or a certain demographic. But it's like, this was never for them, and that's okay. There are white shows that are really, really good for that audience, and that's good, that's great. How about we keep it? If it's a show that's primarily watched by Black people, minorities, then that's okay too. Like, we don't have to make everything for everybody. And I know that's a controversial statement, because it's like, oh, diversity, da da da. But like, if this show was made popping by a certain demographic, and you knew this because when you buying a show, you're seeing every single data point. Now you bought it and you're trying to make it something that it was never. Like, you
Right.
can't fake the funk. You just
Right.
can't.
And my whole thing is also, I'm like, Netflix, you kind of dropped, not even kind of, Netflix dropped the ball completely, because you literally could have just kept it the way it was and just streamed it on YouTube and had it live that way if you really wanted that. It's like they changed the set. It's not even just the white, like the regular white set that you see on YouTube. They have it as if this is like a game show type of thing. You got these 8 girls who technically, even when you hear them talk, it's like, what do you actually want? Because the one girl was like, oh, like, oh, I just didn't see the lineup look crazy, da 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 da. I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? Sometimes the format is the format. And I feel like if you are dense in the brain and you don't get what we're trying to get at, it's the same way about how these hair companies, who are like, you cater to a specific demographic. You sell it, it gets gentrified and conformed conform to fit everybody. But it's like,
Right.
that's not why you were on and popping. You were liked because of what you catered to. The audience that you catered to gravitated to that content because that is what they like. That's what they related to. That's what they like to see. And now you
Mhm.
try to gentrify it to be something that is not to fit everybody, and it's not landing where you need it to land.
Yeah. And it's also like, you you put people in positions, right? Like, oh yeah, they're the executive producer. So from the outside looking in, people are
Right,
gonna be like, oh, how come you didn't do keep it the same or da da da? But
right, right,
sometimes that's just a facade. You get into these companies and you're like, I'm gonna change the world. And then you quickly realize that that power is very much fake. And the people that you're not seeing are the ones that actually have a say. So I say still support it. Because if you don't, less people are gonna have
But
opportunities.
also at the same time, if they see that viewership goes down and they
Yeah.
don't support it, they're gonna be forced to change it. Or
No, they're gonna cancel the show,
and
and
if they
that's just
cancel, it's gonna go back to YouTube
well,
right
it's still
where it
on
is.
YouTube. They're keeping their
Yes.
YouTube version, and the Netflix is
Right, but
separately.
it's just gonna stick to the YouTube, and
Yeah,
everybody who loved it there is gonna keep rocking with it. Them YouTube checks still hit too. Not
right.
as
But
good
I'm
as
sure the
Netflix.
Netflix
Right,
checks are thicker.
right. Not as good as the Netflix one, but it's still
Right.
gonna hit. You gonna get your coin
I
regardless.
know.